Fire, execution has to match our energy. White fire the fever don't lack passion. They don't lack hustle. But white laid bare the truth. We play hard. That's who we are. But our execution? It hasn't been sharp enough. You can have all the energy in the world, but if you're sloppy with the ball, if you don't rotate, if you foul instead of defend, it all unravels. This isn't just about effort. It's about precision. And in the WNBA, precision separates contenders from the middle of the pack. High voltage the rotation gamble. High voltage, why stick to 7 or 8 players in a draining battle? Why not shake it up with Chloe BBY? White admitted it was about trust in defensive matchups, not offense. We needed defenders who could handle the switches, who could rebound out of mismatches. That's why the rotation stayed tight. We had to be deliberate. It was a calculated risk. A risk that might leave fans questioning. But White's message was clear. At this stage, defensive discipline outweighs experimentation. Collision the possession that will be replayed over and over. Collision down 3. 20 seconds left. The season hanging in the balance. Kelsey Mitchell drove, got to the rim, and missed. Aaliyah Boston rolled free, but the ball never came. White's explanation carried no regret, only clarity. We wanted a quick score. Pressure the rim. If AB's open, we hit her. If the help comes, maybe it's a kick-out 3. But the priority was getting something fast. Because we were in the penalty, Kelsey got a clean look. That's all you can ask for. But fans know the sting. The image of that missed layup will linger far longer than the X's and O's. Fire Odyssey Sims is starting to look like herself. Fire 2 practices. 2 games. 2 different players. Game 1 was nerves. Game 2 was the Odyssey Sims everyone knows. She was aggressive, assertive, vocal. That's the Odyssey we need, White said. The new guard is beginning to carve her space. And with each possession, she's proving why she belongs in Indiana's plans. Warning the 22-7 run. The silent killer warning, the missed shots at the end weren't the real dagger. White pointed straight to the moment that broke the game. That 22-7 run between the second and third. That's what dug the hole. That's what forced us to fight uphill. You can't survive that in this league. The numbers are brutal. 21 points surrendered in the fourth, just from free throws and turnovers. 21 points gifted away. Lightbulb urgency versus grace. The thin line lightbulb. This is where the Fever stand. Caught between giving themselves grace for all they've endured and recognizing the playoff clock is ticking louder every day. White's voice carried that duality. It takes so much out of you emotionally when you lose players the way we did. That first game back, you've got adrenaline. But then reality sets in. New lineups. People out of position. Everyone feels like they have to do more. That's the challenge. Give yourself grace, but also urgency. Because we don't have the margin to wait. Fire. Our destiny is still in our hands, but the margin is razor thin. Coach Stephanie White. Fire the Indiana Fever had the game within reach, but small lapses and a costly run buried them again. Coach Stephanie White didn't dodge the reality. We control our destiny, but we've got to understand the urgency it takes. The margin is so small. We play hard. That's never the question. But we've got to marry our execution with our energy. Too often, our execution is sloppy, and that's what kills us. High voltage. The Chloe BBY question. High voltage. Fans wondered why rookie Chloe BBY didn't see the floor. White revealed it wasn't about trust, but about matchups. Yeah, there were thoughts of plugging her in. But defensively, it was more about the matchups with how we were going to play them, switching, rebounding. That's why the rotation stayed the way it did. At the end, we went small for spacing, but none of it matters if we don't value the basketball. And in the second half, we simply didn't. That explanation might not ease frustration, but it underscores the razor-thin choices coaches face in crunch time. Collision, the possession that haunted the Fever. Collision down 3 with 20 seconds left. The ball was in Kelsey Mitchell's hands. She attacked, missed the layup, and questions swirled. Was it drawn up for Aaliyah Boston instead? White explained the intent. They'd been sending 2 to Kelsey. We knew we'd see switches. The goal was simple. Pressure the rim. Either get a quick 2 and a foul, or hit AB on the roll. We had good spacing. We got a good look. Kelsey got to the rim. It just didn't fall. You can go back and dissect it. But for me, that 22-7 run in the second and third quarters, that was the dagger. That's where the game turned. It wasn't the final possession. It was the hole they dug earlier that sealed the night. Fire. Odyssey Sims finding her footing. Fire in just her second game. Odyssey Sims looked like a different player, and White saw it too. Game 1, she had nerves. Tonight, she looked like herself. She was aggressive to the rim, assertive on both ends, and vocal. That's the Odyssey we need. That's the version that lifts us. Her growth in 2 practices and 2 games is a glimmer of hope for a team searching for stability in the storm. Warning, living with a thin margin. Warning, turnovers, fouls, missed details. The Fever gave away points, and the stat sheet was damning. They scored 21 points off our free throws and turnovers in the fourth. 21. That's not about talent. That's about valuing possessions. And we didn't. The team can't afford lapses. With injuries shrinking their rotation and players forced into uncomfortable roles, White knows every mistake is magnified. We don't have the margin to allow lulls in a quarter. Not anymore. Not with who we're missing. That's the reality. Lightbulb. The bigger picture. Lightbulb. In the heat of a playoff race, White struck a balance between urgency and grace. It takes so much out of you emotionally and mentally when you lose players the way we did. That first game back, there's adrenaline, but then reality sets in. You're figuring it out again. New lineups, players out of position. Everyone feels like they have to do more. And that's the balance. Giving ourselves grace, but still understanding the urgency. We don't have time to wait. We've got to figure it out now.
Yeah, it seemed like the second quarter was the difference, really. What went wrong in that second quarter?
Fire. When we click, we're scary. Sophie Cunningham. Fire late in the third quarter. The offense stalled, and Sophie Cunningham didn't sugarcoat it. We were just slow. And when our defense slows down, our offense suffers. When we're aggressive, we attack, we force mistakes, and suddenly everyone is on the front foot. That's when we're dangerous. Tonight, they outworked us, and that can't ever be our excuse. Even after 2 tough home losses, Sophie kept the focus forward. Every game matters. Losing 2 in a row at home hurts. No doubt. But you have to flush it. Tomorrow we play Connecticut. Tomorrow is a chance to respond. High voltage. Odyssey Sims. I have to learn fast. There's no time. High voltage. Game 2 with Indiana looked different than Game 1, and Sims explained why. I'm giving myself grace. I've only had 2 practices. I've played with Tosh, Kelsey, and Lexi before, but everyone else is new to me. It's a learning curve. You've got to learn the plays fast, because the season doesn't wait. We've got a quick turnaround, and this one hurt, the last 2 hurt, but the season isn't over. What we can control is how connected we are offensively and defensively. When we get back to that, like Sophie said, we're dangerous. Her message carried weight. She's adjusting on the fly, but the urgency is real. Collision coach Stephanie White calls out the offense. Collision head coach Stephanie White was blunt about what led to the second half collapse. We over-dribbled. Our off-ball movement disappeared. Too much standing. It felt like we just gave the ball to Kelsey and watched her work. And that's not when we're at our best. We want 5 players moving, reading, reacting. Tonight, the ball stuck, and we paid for it. She added that turnovers and fouling were backbreakers. 8 turnovers for 13 points in the second half. 21 points from free throws and turnovers in the fourth. That's not about talent. That's about valuing the basketball. That's about discipline. We can control that. And we didn't. Warning the emotional toll of injuries and adversity. Warning, both Sophie and Odyssey spoke about giving themselves grace. And Coach White admitted that balance is brutally tough. It takes so much out of you when you lose players, especially the way we did. Emotionally, mentally, it drains you. You get that little adrenaline rush when someone new comes in for the first game. But then reality sets in. You're figuring it out again. New lineups, people out of position, players feeling like they have to do more. It's part of sports. But the margin for error is razor thin now. We can't afford lulls. Not anymore. Execution has to match our energy. White fire the fever don't lack passion.